Greetings, Ian from Martio. Welcome to another battle of the debuts. Well, we have a little bit of a battle of two artists or two bands from the same genre and brought out their albums roughly at the same time-ish. Today we're going to have a look at two of the most iconic British male artists, David Bowie and Elton John. Absolute national treasures. Sadly, David's no longer with us. Elton is still there doing the business, and he's on his final farewell tour. So we're going to have a look at their debut albums from their very humble beginnings. So as usual, we go, the first person up is the one whose album came out first, and in this case it is a certain David Robert Jones, known professionally as David Bowie. One of the most influenced musicians of the 20th century. Always seemed to change with the times and still do some great stuff. But he started way back in 1967 and his self-titled debut album, David Bowie. It was released through Decca, a subsidiary of Drum Records. He recorded a song called Rubber Band, and then he got signed to Decca. So this album, now according to biographers Kevin Can and Nicholas Pegg, that it was David Bowie on vocals, guitars and arrangements, Big Jim Sullivan on the guitar, banjo and sitar, Derek Boyles on the organ, Derek Fernley on the bass, John Eager on the drums, and Marion Constable on the backing vocals. The producer was Mike Vernon. So, first song on this album is called Uncle Arthur. Now, this is a song that more resembles something that you'd sing in a London pub. It's a little ditty about, I don't know if it's his real Uncle Arthur or just a made-up person getting married, and it's quite nice. It's quite fun. I don't mind that track at all. Then we get a track called Sell Me a Coat. Oh dear, this is really plain and oh dear. It's not very inspirational. Then there's Rubber Band, which was one of his first singles. It's a bit basic, but it's pretty good. I quite like that track. Love You Till Tuesday. He was trying to be a bit of a crooner on this, you know, Tony Christie, Empelberg, Humperdinck and Matt Monro, and it really didn't work for him, I'm afraid. There is a Happy Land. It's okay, it's not brilliant. I don't mind it. We Are Hungry Men. It's a bit weird. You got this newsreader reading the news. It slows down and speeds up. I don't know what's going on there. Where I Live in My Dream. David's vocal is pretty good on this. You see where he was going to go. I don't mind that track either. It's all right. Then we get Little Bombardier, first track on side 2. I don't like this. It's a cross between some sort of psychedelic German Papa song. Nah, it doesn't do anything for me. Silly Boy Blue. I'm sorry, this is probably the worst track on the album. Probably one of the worst tracks that David Bowie ever did. Not very good at all. Then we have Come On Buy My Toys. I really like this song. It's very simple. It's a good song. It is my favourite off the album. It is really good. Then we get Join the Gang. This is a nice little quirky track. Pretty good. She's Got Medals. It's got a bit of a beat to this one, and you know this is the sort of direction you could see where he was going to go. Maid of Bond Street, not very good. Please, Mr. Gravedigger. These songs, you know, you can't imagine that he went on to be one of the biggest stars in the world when you listen to some of the tracks on here, and Mr. Gravedigger is not the best track. I must admit, this is an album that I don't play very often. I think it's got sparks of magic on it of what would come, but it's very mishmash. There's no direction on this. Just thank God that he eventually came up with some absolute belters and classics. But yeah, this is not one of my favourite albums. Okay, that's what I think of it. So what do the old critics think of this one? Well, he received a few reviews from the music critics on release, although they weren't very positive. In the New Musical Express, Alan Evans praised the record as all very refreshing and called the artist a very promising talent. And there's a fresh sound to the light musical arrangements by David and Derek Fernley. Chris Welsh of Melody Maker enjoyed the album, singling out a rewarding collection of songs boasted by excellent production. And Chris Welsh was surprised that Bowie hadn't had an impact on the pop scene. A reviewer for Disc and Music described the album's remarkable creative debut album by a 19-year-old Londoner. So All Music gave it 2.5 stars, Bienda gave it 1, and Encyclopedia of Popular Music gave it 2. Rolling Stone gave it 2, and the Rolling Stone Album Guide gave it 2. Didn't chart at all. Didn't do a carrot. And when you do speak to Bowie fans, I don't know many that really do like this. I mean, it has got a couple of moments of brilliance, but it's a good job he went on and did better. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this. Song quality, yeah, there's some really good songs on here. Some of the words are a bit bizarre, but it's creative. That's what I like about it. It's being creative. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Production, it's not too bad, you know. It's dated now, yes, but 67 production, yeah, pretty reasonable. So I will give that another 3 out of 5. Reception, unfortunately, it sank without a trace. I don't know how many copies it actually sold, but it didn't do well, and it sort of got a few people sort of liked it a little bit, but the average stars on here was 2, so that's why I shall give it a 2 out of 5. Cover design, yeah, it's David Bowie as a young man, says who it is, nothing wrong with that. So I shall give cover design a 3 out of 10. So for the David Bowie debut album, give us a total of 11 out of 20. Okay then, let's move on to the next contender, Reginald Kenneth Dwight. Ours is down as Sir Elton Hercules John, CBE. Singer, composer, pianist. Obviously did a lot of work with Bowie, Taupin. Sold 30 million records. Big like David. Really strong, close. He's I think he's still he's on his final world tour, which he'll be doing he'll be ending up at Glastonbury. But where did it all start? Well, it all started in 1969 when he released Empty Sky. This is the cover it was issued in the UK, but it wasn't issued in the United States until 75, and they give it that cover. But this is the one where, as this is the we'll keep the Empty Sky original cover up. So who's playing on this? Well, Elton John, of course, is on vocals, pianos, organ, Hona pianette and harpsichord. Caleb Quay on the electric guitar and acoustic guitar and congas. Tony Murray plays the bass guitar. Roger Pope is on drums and percussion. Nigel Olsson plays drums on Lady What's Tomorrow. Don Frey is on saxophone and flutes. Graham Vickery on harmonica. Produced by Steve Brown, and the engineer was Frank Owen. So, opens up with the title track, Empty Sky. I love this song. I've always loved this song. It's a bit of a proggy song. It's got some great piano and psychedelic in places. My favourite track on this album. I really do like that track. Then we get Val-Hala, very Bob Dylan in places with the harmonica. A great vocal from Mr. Dwight. I always call him that. A very good song. And then we get Western Ford Gateway, another really good song. The organ arrangement on this is pretty good, and you know it's Elton John's song. Then we get a track called Hymn 2000. Now this is very Jethro Tull in places. It's got a bit of flute in there. It's a really good song. I really like that song. Then side 2, Lady What's Tomorrow, very good progressive sort of rock song, some lovely playing on the piano from Elton, very good song. Sales, love the guitar solo on this. It's absolutely brilliant, lots of atmosphere on it. The electric piano is pretty good. Then we get the Scaffold. Now this is probably the weakest track on the album, and I've never been very keen on that one. Sky Pigeon, my second favourite. One of the is quite a popular song. Skyline Pigeon, sorry, I can't read what I'm put on the screen. Very good track, and doesn't matter, it's very good. Then we get Gulliver, Hey Jude. Starts well with Gulliver, and then it sort of goes off into some where they play bits of all the other songs. Don't know what they're doing there. Okay, I think this is a really good album. It just shows what Elton was going to go on and do. Certainly see the potential on this. A lot of the arrangements are good. There's some really good songs on this, and I do enjoy listening to this one, and I do put it on from time to time. And I mean, I love Empty Sky. I think it's an absolute classic. Okay, that's enough of what I think of it. What do the old critics say? Well, there's not much written about it, but I did find one review, and it's from Disc and Music Echo, and that says, can't help feeling that the lyrics could do with a little more intensity. Hence Bernie Taupin came on board. A little less youthful presentation, but that's it's just carping because the music is so nice and pretty that you can't really put it down. Well worth a good deep listen. All Music's retrospective review showed a subdued reaction to the material, concluding there aren't any forgiving gems on Empty Sky, but it does suggest Elton's potential. So the All Music gave it a 2 stars, but Disc and Music Echo gave it 3. Charted, but in the US when it was released in 1975 and got to number 6. Didn't chart over here at all. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts on this. Song quality. Really good songs. I don't think they're shallow. I think they're really good put together songs. The words are great. Bernie just came in and took it to another level. So I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Production. Very good production. You listen to this and it doesn't really date. I think it sounds really good. I had it on under the headphones to listen to this. Well, I had it on my pod when I was walking his nibs. And I think it sounds really good. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Reception. Again, when it came out, it sank without trace. But I know there's a lot of people that are quite fond of this album now. But when it came out, that's what we're really interested in, and I'll give it a 2 out of 5. Cover design. Now the UK cover is okay. You can just about make out it's the Elton John. It's quite cutting, but the American one, no, I didn't like that one. I should have just stayed with the original, to be quite honest. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. So for Empty Sky by Elton John gives us a total of 13 out of 20. So according to this, Elton John wins today. Okay, you can look back on these two debut albums from these superstars. Different contrasts of music on it. I mean, they became friends, they've worked, had a lot of time for each other. But in this instance, on the debut, I think Elton's was far better. There was more structure and some great playing on it. David Bowie's, he took a little bit more time to get going. It took him 2 or 3 albums to really hit the big time. But when he hit the big time, he never looked back, did he? There were a few more highlights on his second album, but it wasn't until we got into the Ziggy Stardust that he really started to really hit the mark. Elton, though, always sort of done great. Teaming up with Bernie Taupin was just fantastic. And all I can say about these two artists, they are national treasures of the UK. I know that Elton's a bit of a diva, but you can't take away from him. He is an absolute talent, and so was David Bowie. But the thing about them, they used to change with the times. They used to rebrand themselves. But both artists have put some great music. So today's winner is definitely Empty Sky by Elton John. Okay, but you may disagree with me. You always seem to at the moment. I never get it right. You always seem to beat me in the battle. So if you think David's better, you know how you vote. You can either put who you like in the comments below, or you go on to the community bit of YouTube and there is a poll there. There are polls on Facebook and Twitter. Just register your vote there. It depends wherever you watch this channel. Okay, that's all for this week's battle. I'll be back later with a picks and mix, and we're doing mixing up, which means it's a producer this week, and we're going to look at the work. Not one of my favourite producers, but someone knows this, and that's why they asked me to do this. And it's Robert Lang. But I did manage to find 5 albums by Robert Lang that's been produced by him. So I'm going to be doing that one very shortly. So I will see you that. So bye for now.